welcome back to another video, guys. Now that's right, today I'm finally doing my David Fincher ranking video. So, over a month ago now, I watched my last David Fincher movie. And, yeah, now here we are. It's taken me a while to get around to making this ranking, but it's one that I really wanted to do because I'd seen a few David Fincher films over the years. You know, there's a couple classics here. So I'd seen a couple of these over the years, of course, but I decided that I wanted to watch them all and I'd like to do a ranking for YouTube. So I watched them all. I really sat on it, really thought about how my ranking for this guy's movies would go. And here we are. I've watched all 10. We're gonna do it. We're gonna go from worst to best. So yeah, I'm gonna scooch on over here, so we can see the beautiful movie posters as we go through them. So coming in at number 10 is going to be. I'm gonna shock you all here. I'm really gonna shock you. The Social Net. No, I'm joking. Alien 3. Yeah, the Alien franchise is an interesting one. The first one by Ridley Scott is a masterpiece. I think James Cameron followed that film up by turning it from a horror into an action perfectly. I think that was the best direction they could have gone with the franchise. I genuinely don't know what one I prefer out of the first two movies. I really love them both. They're just two absolute classic sci-fi films, in my opinion. Third one. It's always going to be hard to follow up two classics. Now, I know a lot of people hate the third one because, you know, it instantly kills off two of your three surviving characters or human characters from the previous movie. I don't like it when films do that either. You know, like, you know, there's a lot of films in these long series of movies now where characters will get killed off instantly. However, I think if you can get past that, it's a decent movie still, Alien 3. I think the cut that come out in 2001 was better, but I don't think David Fincher actually had anything to do with that. So I'm going to talk about the theatrical release. The film still moved well. It had some pacing issues, there's no doubt. I really like Charles Dance's character in it. I was really upset because they were sort of developing him and Ridley as a thing, and then they killed him. He was like one of the first deaths from the alien, which I thought was a bit weird. And yeah, the movie kind of concludes with this. I think they tried to do this epic battle, but I think because the film before just had so many aliens and this one was just one, it just didn't feel like it. I think they were trying to go back to the first movie with a mixture of the action from the second one, and it just didn't have like that special feeling that the other two had. Also, not a big fan on the ending because they knew if the film done well, which it did, that they'd want to make another one. And so they made another one, and the fourth one is so much worse. The fourth one is totally shit. And, you know, I had to try and bring Ripley back, sorry. And it's a mess. But anyway, Alien 3, I don't hate it. I think it's okay, actually. I will put it on every now and then. I'm going to give it a 6.5 out of 10. Then, next up, coming in 9th place is his most recent release on Netflix, Mank. Mank, I was very excited for. The trailers and the previews for this look brilliant. You know, cinematography, the making of Citizen Kane. I was so excited to see this movie. I thought, you know, this is going to be really, really fantastic. Definitely more on the disappointing side of films that come out last year. It actually made my top 10, I think, in 2020, only purely because literally nothing came out in 2020 because of the pandemic. This film has a lot of problems, I think. Huge pacing issues, huge. The film feels like two halves to me. I really enjoyed the first half. I was really invested. I was liking the way the story was going. And in the second half, it just seemed like they ran out of ideas, or they just couldn't. The story sort of hit a wall, and then it just decided to start moving at a snail's pace. So yeah, some big issues there. There are things that I like about this movie which have slightly put it above Alien, because honestly, I'd rather rewatch Alien 3 because I like aliens. But I have put this one just above it purely because, as a filmmaking standpoint, the cinematography was gorgeous in this movie. Looks fantastic. The sets, some of the shots as well, like there was a tracking shot near the start of the movie where Gary Oldman's character introduces someone to someone else. It's been a while since I watched this one. and there's like a beautiful tracking shot. It's fantastic. The sets as well look great. The costumes are great. And the score is good. So as a filmmaking standpoint, it's really good. The acting as well. I don't know if I've mentioned that already. Fantastic. The film just doesn't have great pacing. Do I want to rewatch this one? No, I don't have an urge. That's why it's low down on the list. I'm going to give Mank a 6.5 as well, out of 10. Then we have The Game, starring Mr. Michael Douglas. This was an interesting film. This film reminds me a lot of just one of those movies where I found the pacing just to be like this. I was constantly invested and then dropping out for a bit and then getting back invested. And I don't know, I thought the film worked really well for the most part, but it just kept losing me at times. Also, I want to say, I loved the score in this one until it got so repetitive. I found the score so repetitive in this movie that eventually I was like, I'm sick of the score, I don't want to hear it anymore. But I found the story interesting, the characters were all fine. Yeah, I really don't have much to say about this movie. It was good for what it was, but again, it's just not one that I think I'll be revisiting much. I'm going to give The Game, I'll give it a 7 out of 10. Next up, coming in 7th place, is The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. This is a film that I'd always wanted to watch and just never really decided to watch it until I decided I wanted to watch all of David Finchers' movies. The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, I love the idea of it, someone who ages the other way. I thought that was a really cool idea. Of course, Brad Pitt is in this, and he kills it in this role. I really like I can't think of her name. Cate Blanchett. There we go. She's also absolutely fantastic in this one, and I was expecting not to like this one as much because I noticed a lot of people have it like bottom 2, bottom 3. It is down there on my list, but I thought it'd be actually a couple lower because the runtime was really putting me off as well, which I think is fair. Runtime it's a scary thing with movies, but I must admit the pacing in this was surprisingly good for how long the film was. I was fully engaged, very invested. I was curious which way the story was going to go. Some of it was just so heartwarming to watch and so nice. I loved the character of Benjamin Button. I thought he was fantastic. The only real big issues I have with this movie all sort of happened in the last 10-15 minutes. Yeah, I don't know if they maybe went a bit too far at some places near the end, but I did find this film very investing, very engaging, and I enjoyed it a lot. And for the runtime, does it warrant it being as long as it is? It probably could have been trimmed down, but it wasn't near as bad as some long films out there. I'm going to give this film a 7.5 out of 10. Then we have Panic Room. Yes, Panic Room. This film here, again, I don't hear people talking about this one much. So I sort of went into this one with low expectations as well, thinking, this is probably one of those more throwaway films for David Fincher. But I had an incredible time with this. Jodie Foster was great. I just really... And Kristen Stewart as well. Got to be one of her first movies. One of the best performances I've seen from her as well, actually, I will say. I loved the suspense of this movie. I thought it was done so well, captured brilliantly. There are bits where she's like creeping out of the panic room to try and grab a phone, and the tension is like the people who are broken in are going back up there. There's so many twists and turns with her ex-husband and stuff, and it was so captivating and so fascinating to me. And I really was on the edge of my seat for a lot of it. This film really held my attention really well. It's one of the best of those sort of films that I've seen. And again, I really don't have enough kind things to say about Panic Room. This film was really great. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. Then we have The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, starring James Bond himself, Daniel Craig. I was expecting to have a bit of a action film here, but that's probably me just being very... stupid, I guess, because I saw Daniel Craig and I was like, probably be a bit, the poster makes it look a bit like an action film, I guess. I don't know. But so I was ready for something a bit more fast-paced, and what I got was actually a fascinating story. I love these two characters when they eventually come together. I thought that was great. The whole whodunit sort of thing, I didn't guess who had done it. I thought that was really well done. And again, I think with this one, there's some beautiful shots in it. Some of the cinematography is gorgeous. It has a good score, and the pacing is pretty good as well. Again, this film has a lot going for it. It's definitely one I'm going to rewatch. It's a long film again. Does it quite warrant the runtime? Again, just sort of same as Curious Case of Benjamin Button. I feel like it could be trimmed down a little bit for the most part, though. It's very good. Gonna give this film an 8 out of 10. Next up. This is where I'm gonna get some hate. And remember, guys, this is just my opinion. Coming in 4th place is The Social Network. Yeah, I know. A lot of people want it to be number 1, and a lot of people would put it number 1. I think this is David Fincher's most popular film. But I put it 4th. Saying that, the last couple of films have got an 8, so don't worry, it's going to get a good score. I like this film a lot. I just personally prefer 3 of his other movies. Why? I found this film to have some pacing issues. People are going to disagree with me no matter what I say, because this film is so beloved. I almost feel a little bit nervous talking about this one. However, saying that, this film is brilliant. Based on the creation of Facebook, the conversations between Andrew Garfield's character and Jesse Eisenberg's were fantastic. Both of them give incredible performances, probably the best performances of both their careers. The clip of Andrew Garfield where he finally breaks down on Jesse Eisenberg is some of the best acting I've ever seen. It's absolutely incredible. Justin Timberlake's in this. He's pretty good in it as well. I love how well this film is shot and put together. The structuring of this film is fantastic. It has a good score as well. As I say, I really enjoy it. I just think I find the topics of the next 3 films more interesting. And just slight pacing issues with this one, which I apologise for. But I'm going to give The Social Network an 8.5 out of 10. Next up, we have the first... I think this was the first David Fincher film I saw. It was either this one or Alien 3, because, I'm an Aliens fan. But we're going to go with Gone Girl next. Gone Girl was a film which really, really surprised me. Because I remember 2014, I remember this film coming out. And I was really getting into films in 2014. That's when I sort of hit my stride with movies. Great things coming out like Whiplash, The Grand Budapest Hotel. Loads of great stuff like that. I saw Gone Girl and I thought, Ben Affleck, I don't know. I'm not sure about this one. But this film surprised the hell out of me. I really enjoyed it because, of course, at the start you think it is a murder thing and you're like, did he do it? Or who did do it if it weren't him? And you have that going through your head. And then halfway through the film, of course, she turns up. And then there's a whole... The plot then just goes even further. It develops and it does so much more. And I think for a film to do that is really fascinating. It reminds me a lot of like the new Knives Out by Rian Johnson, where it's a whodunit, then you sort of find out who you think done it, but then it's back to whodunit. And I love how some movies, their plots can do that. It can throw you from one spectacle to another in terms of what you're thinking the movie is, because it's a whodunit, but then it's not. I think this movie works really well like that. Rosamund Pike gives a fantastic performance in this, the best I've seen her give. Neil Patrick Harris is in this, and he gives a really good performance as well. Again, Gone Girl was just a really, really fantastic movie. I think it's really well paced, got a really good score to it as well, some beautiful shots as well. I'm going to give it a 8.5 out of 10. Then, finally, we got top 2, sorry, I'm spitballing here a bit. We got 2 left, so which one is going to get number 1? Well, we've got Zodiac and 7 left. Coming in at number 2, for me, is going to be Zodiac. you know, based on the true stories of the Zodiac killers, or kills, or killer. This film is... The thing that I love about this movie is how creepy I found it. I was nervous in this movie. I was spooked out watching it. I found it genuinely really creepy, as I say. And the most interesting thing about that is it's based on a true story. And it's like, at times, I'm so grateful I don't live in America. And watching this movie was one of those times where I was like, thank God I don't live in America. I thought it was brilliant like that. The pacing was so good in this movie. So good. It kept me so engaged. The score was great as well, and some of the cinematography was beautiful. But Jake Gyllenhaal is the man. I love that guy. He's one of my favourite actors going. And then, of course, got to give some props to Robert Downey Jr. He's also incredible in this film. This movie just sort of blew my mind, really. I was just so hooked, so engaged from start to finish. Zodiac, for me, can have a 9 out of 10. But then, of course, number one, maybe his most famous film. I don't know. You know, you kind of toss and turn between a couple of them, really. Seven. Absolutely loved Seven. Seven, I love how gritty this film feels. Like, it feels very dirty and very dangerous almost, which is very rightfully so for this movie, because, you know, you've got a very, very nasty murder on the scenes. And I think it really, really plays into that genre well, like the way this one's filmed and shot. There's some very unexpected deaths in it. It's very graphic at times. I'm not normally a huge fan of super graphic stuff, even though I will watch it because I like to give most things a go. But I think it actually complements this film quite well. It's one of the rare times where I'll actually say I think it works well inside of this movie. Morgan Freeman's fantastic in it. Brad Pitt's great. Yeah, and the film just does... It's just a really well-constructed movie. It flows really well. And yeah, I mean, Seven... I don't know what I can really say about Seven that hasn't already been said before, because it's such a loved movie now. I'm going to give Seven a 9 out of 10. Anyway, there we go, guys. There's my David Fincher ranking. I hope you've enjoyed it, as always. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, like the video, leave a message. And as always, I'll see you next time for another video. Bye-bye.